Hello everybody, it's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly episode. This is episode number 265 for June the 11th, 2024. I almost said something different there. Okay, let's take a look at what I've been working at. Couple of projects. So I am working on the Underground Railroad. I'm sort of following Stephanie Stitches along. She's doing this as well. In fact, she's the one that got me turned on to doing this because she's the one that discovered the book and started doing tutorials about each of these blocks. So I have 6 of the blocks done. I think for this quilt there's 15 or 16 to be completed. I think it's 15. No, I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's more. Anyways, I'm kind of enjoying this. It's going to make a sampler quilt. It's in they're traditional blocks, as you know, and I've already talked about the pattern before, and I'm sure you've seen Stephanie's stuff that she's put up about it. But yeah, it's kind of fun. Today, later, I think I'm going to attempt the next block, and it's a log cabin. I cut out all the pieces yesterday for that. In the past, I've made log cabins before. You know, they're a very simple kind of pattern, but you've got to make sure you keep everything straight as you go around that square with the center hub in it, because if you don't, you're going to get a wonky log cabin block. And wonky, though, I have seen a lot of videos lately where people are doing the traditional log cabin block, but they're making it wonky. It's great scrap buster. But there's a lot of things you can do with the log cabin block as well. And I have made a couple of different quilts using the log cabin design. And I might do that again sometime down the road. But right now I'm working on this. And I'm working on another project right now, which you can sort of see peeking up behind me. It's a scrappy maple leaf. It was a free pattern from Robert Kaufman, I think. Robert Kaufman, I think that's who it is. Anyways, I'm just using it as a palette cleanser, but I kind of like the block, and so I'm going to make 3 more of them, and I'm going to make this develop it into a quilt. The pattern calls for it to be just one giant block that measures about 40 by 40. Mine is slightly smaller because I changed the instructions. There's a lot of half square triangles in this and just a lot of plain squares, and they want you to do them at 5 inches for the most part, 5-inch squares. But I had a big bin of cast off charms, charm packs, you know, partial ones and things like that, and I was looking for something to do with them, and this works really well for that kind of project. And what I am doing is I am cutting those down, or trimming them down to 4.5. So that's why my measurements will be a little smaller, but that's okay because I'm developing it into a quilt. So yeah, I cut out a lot of pieces for this yesterday. I've sort of kitted it in a sense, you know, kitted it up. And yeah, so I will show you my progress on that on another episode of the Idiot Quilter. And the other thing I wanted to show you is this little guy. I call him Uncle Bob. He originally he's a designs by Juju, and a friend of mine who comes on to Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen regularly. She was working on this one as well, but of course in the more traditional colors that they called for in the pattern, which was to make him Uncle Sam, the USA mythical figure. But I really liked his design, and it's an in the hoop embroidery project, and I love doing those. So I bought this. They had a sale on. I think they had a sale on. Anyways, doesn't matter. I bought it, and I decided to make him Canadian. So if you look at the fabric very closely, you'll see it has maple leaves all over it. And so he's no longer Uncle Sam. He is Uncle Bob. Why Bob? I don't know. Bob's your uncle. I have no idea why I call him Uncle Bob, but I know, Uncle Beaver, would that be more appropriate for Canada? I don't know. Maybe Uncle Justin? I don't know. Uncle Bob he is for now. Okay, so what's happening? What's new? What's up? Well, of course we have tomorrow, Wednesday, as we always do, Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen, starting at 9 a.m., running until 4 p.m. Come and go as you please. Link is in the show notes. That is a Zoom link. We have finished, Stephanie and I, our little pre-recorded sew along series with the Tabletastic Churchill block from Doug Lico, and we're done. And you have already seen what I did with the block, because I showed it a week or so ago. I think Stephanie's decided just to make a table runner out of hers. We both got a little bored and a little frustrated with this pattern. And I heard other people say the same thing. The measurements, you've heard me say this, sounds like a broken record, doesn't it? But if you have not watched our series of videos, they're here on my channel, and you can watch them and follow along. But my recommendation is, if you're going to do more than one block in that design, you might want to just limit yourself to a table runner, and you might want to use sashing between the blocks, because I am not the only one that didn't get the blocks to match up perfectly. And maybe you'll have better luck, but there's been more than just me that had this problem. And Doug Lico in the book has designed it as a table topper. So yeah, maybe he knew there would be a problem and didn't bother to go any further with it. I don't know. But anyways, it is a nice block when you get it done. But for those of you out there that have a lot more experience than me, maybe you can make it work for putting the blocks of Churchill blocks together. I don't know. So, announcement. Pop-up Sew Day. Yes, this Saturday, June the 15th, starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, running until about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, I do realize that the next day is Father's Day, and some of you may be busy getting ready for preparations going for that event, and that's fine. But if you're not busy and you want some time to sew with other people, it's a come and go. Work on your own project, whatever. You can come and leave at any time you wish. I will open the doors at 8 a.m. And yeah, we'll just all sew together and have a good day. I think the weather here is supposed to be a little bit rainy. I'm not sure. Are you ever sure about the weather? No. They give us a suggestion. Weathermen are not predictors. They just make suggestions as to what could possibly happen. So anyways, great day. We always have a good time. And hope to see many of you there. Now, I did send out an announcement about this on from my mailing list, and the link is in the show notes as well below for this video today, for yesterday's vlog, for Stephen, or for So Chatty this coming Friday. It's all there. You can't miss it. And a note about my mailing list. You may have yesterday gotten a couple of emails from me about the Pop-Up Sew Day, and I'm sorry about that. Excuse me, little frog in my throat. Every time I do this, I have a frog in my throat. I don't know why. Maybe it's the time of the day. It is early. It's not quite 6:30 yet. But I digress. So, about the mailing list. Okay, I have a mailing list that has over 200 names on it. I use Bell. Bell is my provider here in Canada for my internet service. They suck when it comes to the way they program things. And their email is bad. I've had more problems with that. Walter laughs at me all the time because he doesn't use Bell. He uses Gmail. And he says, I never have a problem with Gmail. I love it when he says that to me. I never have a problem with this. Yeah, okay, you're lucky. Good for you. God is shining his grace upon you. But I haven't had a problem for quite a while. So I merrily sent out my email yesterday through my mailing list, and they all bounced back. Now, at first I only got a few back, and I thought, well, sometimes that's not unusual because people change their email address and don't let me know, or their mailbox is full, or whatever. There's a variety of reasons for that. However, I started looking at the first 5 that came through, and I thought, well, I'll just put them in my, like, they're legitimate email addresses. They shouldn't be bouncing back. Never had a problem from these ones before. So there's a facility in this provider where I can have safe senders. So I put those in as safe senders. And then suddenly I'm getting all kinds, and I'm looking at them, and I'm starting to put them all into safe centers, but I had to do it one at a time. And then I realized something. Wait, this is my entire mailing list, pretty much, popping back to me for whatever reason. Now, some of you did get the first email. It went through, but most of you did not. So I played around with it. I debated whether I should give my provider a call, but it's a pain in the... that would have been an all-day project, literally, an all-day project. To listen to somebody go through a script and me having to tell them that's not working, I want somebody who knows what they're doing, go to your next level up. And I've been on that roller coaster before, and I'm not getting on it again. I do have a Gmail account. And I already had a partial list in there because of a problem I had way back at one of the retreats. So I decided to update the mailing list on my Gmail, which wasn't very difficult once I figured out how to do that without having to enter everybody in individually, because I wasn't doing that. I got them all in there and I sent it out and nothing bounced back, and people were sending me some emails saying, yep, they got it, that kind of thing. So that works. Now I want you to know something. I'm not getting rid of my principal email address, which is simpatico.ca. I'm keeping that because that's the one everybody knows me by. And I haven't been having any other problems lately, so I'll just leave it. Maybe Bell, it's definitely a Bell problem. Maybe they will have that sorted out at some time. But in the meantime, if I want to send out things by my mailing list, if I try it on Simpatico, they bounce back, I will send them from the Gmail, which is more reliable, it seems. However, if you want to write to me, my email address is still the one that has simpatico.ca in it. That's the one that's listed in my show notes, the link for it. That's the one that I will use. If by chance you hit the reply button from something that came to you via Gmail account, I will still get it because I have set up my Gmail account so anything that goes there is forwarded to my Simpatico account. I don't want to miss your comments or whatever, or your questions from that. So that's what I'm doing. That's why, if for those of you that were observant, you may have noticed there was a change in the email address. Some of you may have gotten a duplicate email. Sorry about that, but I've just explained why. And some of you had, and so a couple of you wrote to me, oh, well, this is my first email. I didn't get any others. Yeah, as long as you got one that has the link for the pop-up so day, that's all that matters. Okay. Ain't technology grand when it works? Okay. Just as an aside, thinking of technology, I'm getting a little afraid of AI, and Apple has just announced that they're incorporating AI into a lot of their products. Anybody see the movie Terminator or Terminator 2? Yeah, I think we're sliding down the slippery technological slope. Stay tuned. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Okay. So, I cleaned up and redid my pressing area. It was just getting too cluttered, messy looking, the whole bit. So I decided that I should have a cupboard to put up on one wall that's there. Now, let me show you what it used to look like. Here. That is what my pressing area looked like. I had a bulletin board up there with random things on it. You see where my iron's located. My rulers are everywhere. There's spray bottles of stuff. It serves my purpose, but it was very, very cluttered. So I thought if I had a cupboard where that bulletin board is up there, I could, organize my things a little better. Now, I didn't want a cupboard, though, with cupboard doors. They would look very nice, and that would match the rest of the cabinetry I have in this room. However, if I can't see what's on my shelves, it's out of sight, it's out of mind. And that's how you start to accumulate things and forget what you've got. So I wanted it to be open. I was going to buy an IKEA system that I saw, but it wasn't really a cupboard. It was more a couple of shelves, and that one shelf had drawers in it that looked really cool. And I almost bought that. But then I got thinking about it. I'll bet you those shelves are very, very shallow, those drawers. And so what's the point? I'll probably never use them, or I'll throw junk in there and I won't know where it's at. Walter said, why not go over to Home Depot, where we bought the other cabinets I have in this room, and take a look at what they have. I have my measurements and everything that I wanted, and that's what we did. And so that's what we ended up buying. And Walter put it up on Saturday. I helped. Okay, I helped. The hardest part about putting up that shelf was finding the places where we could securely screw it into the wall, because you basically have to screw it into a joist, into a stud. And Walter had a stud finder. No comments, please. And it was hit and miss. But in fact, at one point, he crawled into the crawl space, which is on the other side of that wall, just to take a look at where the joists might be. And believe me, that's no feat going into that crawl space, because there's a lot of stuff in there. And that's why every year when I dig out the Christmas decorations from there, I think twice about it. Like, do I really want to decorate? Because, if I was 3 feet tall, it would be great. But by the time I get in there and I'm bent way over at a 90-degree angle, I come out and my back hurts for days. But anyways, I digress. We got the shelf up. I got it all organized, and this is what the space looks like now. Isn't that a lot neater, cleaner? Yes. Little shelf. I even have space on it. I put out some of my fat quarter bundles. Again, I have those in a cart. And I have quite a few. And that's not all of them that's there. There's still some on the cart. But the problem is the cart is not in a very visible area, and I forget what I have. And if you don't see it, you're not going to use it, right? So it's all very organized. I cleaned under there. I got my rulers all organized. There's my rulers. I recovered the piece that's underneath my wool cutting mat as well, because it was getting a bit grimy and dirty. So I had this fabric laying around. Actually, that fabric that's there with the floral print on it were old balloon curtains that we had at one time in this house. I hate to say it, we still have a set of them up. Yeah, hello, the 80s called. They want their draperies back. But it's great fabric, and so I never threw it out when we took them down, so I just reused it on there. Makes things a little bit more colorful, looks a little cleaner. And the rulers are all organized. There's no clutter on the bump out ledge there. It's nice. It is encouraging me to do some more purging in this room. When, I don't know. But of course, I've got to get the Lucey room redone too, because it's just a hole. I mean, Lucey's in the black hole of Calcutta, I swear, in there. And you've seen it from the So Chatty video from last week when Walter was basting his quilt on Lucey. So yeah, it'll come with time, When I was younger, I'd be right on this. Now, well, it eats into my quilting time. That's the problem. So anyways, I'm very happy with the way that all has worked out. And yeah, we'll move on to more decluttering as time goes by. Okay, so speaking of Lucey and speaking of Walter, the first part of Walter Does Lucey went up on Friday. Part 1, where Walter is loading Lucey up with his quilt, batting, and backing fabric and basting it. So that's in the first part. This coming Friday will be the second part, where Walter is looking at what he's going to quilt on the quilt. And I've had several people write comments, say they're enjoying the series, and they're finding it very helpful. There are different ways to do things on a long arm. Is one way better than another? Well, it depends on who you are and what you're most comfortable with. So what you're seeing and what I'm teaching Walter is what I'm comfortable with. It's what I have learned from my experience, having Lucey now for almost 2 years. And what I learned from Tracy at Whirls N Swirls, my APQS dealer, that kind of thing. You may, if you have a long arm, you may do it differently, some of the steps, and that's fine. If it works, don't fix it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I refine my technique, my way of doing things all the time, as we all do. But right now, what I'm teaching Walter is what I'm comfortable with, and it's working with him. We haven't had that many arguments while we were doing Lucey. A few comments, but not so many arguments. He was a good student. Because I was very much prepared for him to say, well, that's stupid. Why are you doing it that way? You should do it this way. But he didn't. So that's okay. So you will see his finished product soon, but he has got it all quilted now. We did the filming in one day, but I broke it up into long pieces. Otherwise, it would have been a whole day for you too. I did make his binding for him. But I said to him, and I gave it to him yesterday. I did that yesterday. I said, do you want me to bind your quilt? I can trim it up and bind it if you want me to. I think he kind of wouldn't have minded that, but then he said, no, he says, I need to do it myself. I need to learn and go. And I says, okay, I'll be helping him with that. That's where we could have some yelling and screaming, and I will try to get that on the video whenever he gets in the mood to do this. You have to get him in the mood. Yeah. So anyways, that's there, and the second part will go up on Friday on So Chatty. Okay, that takes me to subscribers quilt of the week, and we were talking no, sorry, let me back up. This is a lovely quilt from Glenna Miller, and we have seen some of her beautiful creations before. This week's subscribers quilt comes from Glenna Miller, and we've seen some of her lovely creations before. And she writes, hello, Stephen. Attached, please find a photo of a quilt I recently completed. Every year, our local library offers a mystery quilt class. We receive fabric requirements and cutting instructions in January, and the class is held in the middle of February. We're given clues every hour and a half or so. This year's quilt is a free pattern called Piccadilly Circus by Joe's Country Junction. I used my scrap batiks and bought a batik background. It was a fun quilt to make. So this is a great looking quilt. I love the pattern. I may have to look this one up because of course it's got stars, and I love stars, and I love scrappy quilts as well. And the border that's around the edges looks very unique, not something I have ever done before. You have done a beautiful job of this, Glenna. It's an absolute joy, and thank you so much for sharing your lovely creation with us. Now, speaking of log cabin quilts, this week's YouTube video clip comes from Carol Thalen. You've heard me talk about her before. She does a lot of things with AccuQuilt patterns, and she also has a wonderful website called the Quilt Calculator. The link, that's the word I want, link, is in the show notes. You may want to check it out. It's a handy little tool, absolutely free, and she's always constantly refining it. And so it basically will tell you how much fabric you need, how many blocks you need, given when you put in the sizes of a quilt and that kind of thing. So anyways, here's my review of that. And she was demoing in that video clip how to use the quilt calculator with a scrappy log cabin, which has free instructions for you. This week's YouTube channel is called Scrap Log Cabin, Free Quilt Instructions, and the Quilt Calculator. And this is by Carol Thalen, and you've heard me talk about her before because I have one of her books for using the AccuQuilt. But Carol's been around for quite a while. She has a lot of patterns out there, and she's got a great video channel. And one of her latest projects is to create an app for sizing a quilt. And this is a really great app, and it's still being refined as I speak right now. But if you go to this video, you will see how to use the quilt calculator created by Carol in order to do a very specific project like a log cabin quilt. If you don't know about this app, this is a great video to watch, and you can download the app for free as well. And I believe it works on both your phone and on your computer. So you might want to check that out. So that's the Scrap Log Cabin Free Quilt Instructions, the Quilt Calculator by Carol Thalen. So that takes me to future projects. Well, I've already talked about it. The future project is right now, right behind my shoulder there. The one that's the Maple Leaf Quilt by, I think I said it was by Robert Kaufman. It is not. It's by Riley Blake. And it is a free pattern, and there's a link for it in the show notes. But here's what I'm talking about. This week's future project is called the Maple Leaf Quilt, and it is a free pattern by Riley Blake Designs. And when I saw this one, I was immediately attracted to it because there are two things that really attract me to a quilt besides color, and that is stars and maple leaves. And I really like this one, and it's not a huge quilt. It's 46 by 46, but it's one design. And I think this would look really great in possibly the Northcott O Canada collection of fabrics. But you could make this in any kind of color combination for almost any season of the year. It would look great in fall colors. It would look great in spring colors as well. And it's big enough to be basically, well, it's more of a lap than a wall hanging pattern, but I'm sure you could, if you wanted to, take this pattern, resize it so that you made smaller blocks, and this could become a very interesting quilt. So this is Maple Leaf Quilt by Riley Blake Designs, and I have the link to the free pattern in the show notes below. Now, you know, a couple of weekends ago, I went off to a sale, a fabric sale at Ronda's Creative Quilts, and there was a video about that, and I'm sure you've seen it as such. But she does have, of course, her shop is not a brick and mortar shop. She works out of her home by appointment, but she does have a website and sells her fabric at fantastic prices and a good selection. So here's my review of Ronda's Creative Quilts. This week's online quilt store is Ronda's Quilt Creations, and you know from last week that I showed you her annual in-person sale event and all the stuff that I bought at really, really great prices. But I really recommend going to her website as well, because she has actually really excellent prices there as well. So let's take a look at this a little bit closer. Let me blow it up a little bit for you. And here's her front page, and it's advertising some of the new things she has online. She is in Brighton, Ontario, which is about an hour east of where I live. She has free shipping with orders over $200 and easy returns. So here's some of her new arrivals, and she looks like she's getting some of her Christmas fabrics in already. Let's load a few more here and take a look at what we've got. And yeah, she has some very unique designs. I saw this wide back at during her sale, and I didn't buy any, but I think I probably should buy some of that one. I bought another one, similar design, but not with the gold in it, and I might put it in another order for some more things. Here's some stuff she has on sale, $5. Really? For a meter? That's really good. So let's take a closer look at her fabrics. And here we go. So fabric order quantities. The quantity of fabric on our website is measured in half-meter cuts. Okay, it's half-meter cuts. If you like a full meter, you only select a quantity of 2. All right, so these are pre-cuts that we're showing here right now. Okay, one thing I did not realize, ooh, that's flannel, did not realize is that her prices are actually in half-meter cuts. So you have to double the price on some of these. But let's just take a closer look here. Let's take a look at her batiks. And she has this left-hand column that shows you how much she has there. So her batiks are, well, that's a pretty good price for batiks, because that's $15 a meter. So that's good. Let's look at some of the other things. Let's look at Benartex, one of the few places I have found online in Canada that sells Benartex, and I love their fabric. And pretty good prices here too, about $15 a meter as well. Wide back, about $22 a meter. That's a really good price, and she has a lot to choose from. Timeless Treasures, let's try that one as well because I love Timeless Treasure fabrics. Yep, 7 and 15 and $16 a meter. Excellent, excellent prices for fabric. So that's really good. And she does have free shipping, as she mentioned on the front page, over $200. So that's pretty good. We'll check out more about her shipping in a minute, but let's go to, say, batting and see what she has here for that. And it looks like she sells it by the meter, and I usually buy 80, 90 wide. So let's see, 120 inches. That's Palon Natural, 80/20. So that's $17. So $34 a meter. Let me see. No. Where is it? Okay. This I'm a little confused on. Let's see if it's in the description. Durable, cotton. Okay, if that is for a half meter, that's pretty expensive. That's got to be for a meter, I would say, off the roll. Not absolutely sure about that because she did say that unless otherwise indicated, it was all half meter. But maybe, did she say anything about batting at the very beginning of this and I missed it? Let me just check and see. Okay, nothing there. Maybe it was under all products. Or maybe it was under fabric. Because I thought I saw something about that. Oh yes, fabric quantities. Unless otherwise specified, the quantity of fabric on our website is measured in half meters. Okay. I'm assuming, so she's saying that's for fabric, not for batting. I'm assuming the price on the batting is per meter. You might want to double check that. Let's just go back here because I am curious about that. There might have been that particular brand. Let's see, 96 inches, 750. So that's got to be a half meter. Pelon Nature's Touch Natural Blend, batting no scrim. That might be a specialized batting. That's why it's at that price. Because I'm assuming that these are half meter as well. So that would make it about $15 to about $17. I can get into this to see. Yeah, I'm still not sure. But I would assume that's half a meter. Okay, that's something you might want to write to, if you're interested in the batting, write to Ronda about. She's very approachable and she will definitely get back to you quickly. Okay, so good selection of fabric. Let's see, what else does she have? Lots of fabric. She does have fleece as well. Pre-cuts. I think we saw some of those pre-cuts. And yeah, she has a few. And prices are reasonable for that as well. All right. What else? Does she sell? Okay, what's under notions? Does she sell thread? I saw some people carrying some thread out, so I'm not sure. Okay, so this column on the left seems to always come up with the same things. So I guess you can just look here, and I'm looking. I'm in the notions section, but nothing has really, no products were found matching us. Notions carried in the store change quickly. We bring an e-commerce store. There is not the room to hold large items. Those can be specifically ordered. What we do have in hand is needles for your machine and occasionally carry travel mugs and other small items. These can be of special order. Okay, so I go under all products again, I don't see any thread listed. No, I'm not finding any thread. So she is principally fabric, but as I said, I'm very impressed with her selection of fabrics. I'm very impressed with the price of her fabrics, and her shipping was very, very fast. And let's just, she does have a long arm service as well. Shipping. Let's take a look at the details about the shipping again. She said over $200 free. She says they're out of her control. Calculations are done based on weight. Shipping can be combined in orders over 200 is free with exceptions. Okay. She does ship internationally. She has local pickup. So basically, I think she ships probably, oh no, shipping is provided with Canada Post. In the event you request FedEx, please contact the store. Okay. So yeah, not sure what the shipping works out to. It's whatever Canada Post is. But I'm sure it is very reasonable as well. So this is Ronda's. And let's just go back to the front page for one moment. And, oh wait, no, she shows thread here. But I didn't find any. So that might be something you need to send an email to her to find out about. It may be considered a special order. So yeah, anyways, it is definitely worth the visit to this online store. And especially if you're in Canada, she is very good to order from as well. So that's Ronda's Quilt Creations. So that brings me to the end of this episode. Just a reminder again, Pop-Up Sew Day this coming Saturday, June the 15th, starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All are welcome. Links in the show notes. And let's see. So Chatty on Friday, part 2 of Walter Does Lucey. And then, of course, we have Stephen and Walter live on Sunday afternoon. And, well, that one's just a hilarious mess. Let's just say that. If you've never been, come. You'll see what I mean. Okay. I hope you have a great week. I'm sure I'm going to see some of you tomorrow on Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen. And I'm sure I'll see some of you as well on Saturday for the Pop-Up Sew Day. And I look forward to both occasions. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.